How's my hair look? Yes, we're talking about hair today. I'm Pete Smith for the First Church of Mars.
Just seek and you shall find. Gotta leave this world behind.
We are right here in Port Isabel, 5 miles away, directly to SpaceX. Going to Mars. I don't think there's any doubt, guys. No matter what you think about the Bible and aliens and other planets other than Earth, humans settling on other planets, I think you have to agree. Well, you don't have to agree, but I believe we are going to Mars, guys. So let's deal with it. Now, last video I was talking about 1 Corinthians chapter 11, specifically verse 14, about hair, long hair. You know, I always liked the musical Hair. Give me it down to there, hair, shoulder length longer, hair. And one of the lines in that song, Hair, is, hair like Jesus wore it, hallelujah, I adore it, hallelujah, Mary loved her son, why don't my mother love me with my hair? So I have this affinity for that musical and that song, hair like Jesus wore it. And so last video I questioned 1 Corinthians 11, verse 14, questioned the Bible. You know what's funny? After that, some other thing led me to Job, and I was reading Job, and boy, that hit hard. Like, who are you to question me, God? And I thought about it. Anyway, you know, it's funny when we read the Bible, oftentimes, or at least for me, I don't quite get it right away. So I sat with it for a while, this verse, saying, why is Paul telling the Corinthians that, you know, keeping your hair long is against, like it's against nature. It's not the natural way. Man's hair should be shorter than a woman's. And it bugged me because I'm like, Jesus had long hair, man. Probably all the apostles too. Well, the first thing that jumped out at me was nature. It dawned on me, which happens sometimes with the Bible, when you read it and you think about it, you reread it, you give it some time, maybe a day, two, something else comes up for you about it, and I thought, wait a minute, that verse said nature. Let's go to it. Let's go to the verse where it says it. 1 Corinthians 11, 14. Okay, first, yes, so the New International Version says, does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him? And I thought, nature, well, that's not God. He's talking about nature finds it disgraceful. And God created nature, but it's not nature that finds it disgraceful. I mean, you know, it's nature that finds it disgraceful, not necessarily God. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was, I spoke to my pastor about it a little bit. He gave me some viewpoints. And I went further into the app that I use, Bible Hub. And they gave me some good endpoints too, some good viewpoints. And what I got, well, first I got that thing on my own. It came to me that nature is different from God. What Paul is saying about nature disapproves, or it's a disgrace. And I thought, yeah, nature. But then I looked it up and I was like, wait a minute. Most mammals, nature, the male has longer hair than the female. It's only in humans that generally it's thought that female hair is longer than male hair. So I was like, okay, well, maybe Paul was wrong. You know, nature generally does not find long hair as a disgrace for men, because most in nature, most mammals, the male has longer hair. But anyway, and then I thought, wait a minute, did Jesus really have long hair? And I checked into it, and it turns out he probably didn't. At least that's the best I could determine. There's no account of the length of Jesus' hair in the Bible directly. And it does say that he looked like other men of his time, which generally men had shorter hair. Now, was his hair short, like how mine would be without the ponytail, like right now? Short like this? Probably not. But it probably wasn't long. Like, it could have been, you know, maybe, I don't know. I'm only guessing, but it doesn't say that Jesus had long hair. And that's just something that was. So I was like, yeah. So maybe Paul is right that he's definitely right. At that time, they felt that long hair should not be on a man. And I guess that then I went further down the rabbit hole and thought, wait a minute. What about the shroud of Turin? That face that's shown on the shroud, Jesus. Isn't his hair long in that photographs of that shroud? And yeah, it is kind of long. It is kind of long. Now, so then it becomes, what is long? What is long? It's all a matter of relativity, isn't it? If a woman's hair is generally down to here and a man's hair is here, maybe it's not long. So, you might ask, why is this important, all of this? Hair. I mean, what does it matter, right? What does it matter what Paul said about that? For me, it matters, because as in everything, one thing leads to another. Remember that song? One thing leads to another. Well, because the bigger point, I believe, that Paul was making, and I'm no scholar, guys. I'm just a guy sitting here that lives near SpaceX and decided to do this First Church of Mars. So the bigger point is that men should not imitate women. I think that's what Paul's bigger point is. And don't be confused. Don't try and confuse others about your gender, your biological gender. Don't try and confuse others. You know, don't make it confusing. Men should be men, women should be women. There's a difference. And the appearance should show that as well. So I think that's the bigger point. I don't want to right now get into the whole gender ideology thing. It could take a lot of videos, but I could see the point. I could see the point. If you're a man, stick to it. Stick to it. God gave you that pee-pee. He didn't give you the opening there. So I think that's it for today. I think there was one other thing I wanted to mention. I'd like to get more into aliens on this channel, about how God feels about aliens. And actually, I know this is going to sound heretical to some, but could a lot of the teachings, the prophets, the stuff in the Bible, could it be referring to aliens? Do the heavens refer to other planets, beings from other planets? And my big question is, were we as humans seeded, S-E-E-D-E-D, seeded with DNA from another place? Is that what makes us different from animals? Apes generally is the last top tier there before you get to humans. And were we somehow manipulated with and thus given the ability to move further and further into consciousness, into creating things, into manipulating the world around us? Okay, well, there's more to be said, but that's my video for today. I don't want to say go ahead and like this video and comment, and don't forget to subscribe, but I guess I will. No, I won't. I won't. Anywho, oh, I did want to mention my view of SpaceX is, whether you know it or not, this channel where I do this, my house has an actual view of the towers, the 2 towers at SpaceX Boca Chica, formerly now known as Starbase Texas. I like SpaceX. I like what they're doing, but at the same time, not sure if it's destroying the homes that are really close to it. It's a possibility. I mean, the last static fire test was 20 seconds long, and it vibrated my house. Like if I had a stick-built house with a solid foundation, concrete, I'd be a little bit afraid that I spent all the money building that house and that it was getting rattled like that. I live in a very small park model prefab home, so I'm not really, and it's old, so I'm not really that concerned about what might be happening to it with the SpaceX vibrations, but it is a concern down here. I'm thinking eventually Elon Musk is going to build enough, get it straight enough where the flame diverters, the water curtains, other things are going to minimize that vibration, or he's just going to move it out into the ocean. The whole test launching of the heavy rockets and everything will be launched in the ocean and recovered in the ocean. I think that's where it will head. But for now, we have it. It's 5 miles away, out that way. I want to show you the picture again. I don't know, I'll show it to you before, but I'll show it to you now again, of they're building on the land out in front of me, between me and SpaceX, and I know they're going to put up something there and block my view, so I'll have to deal with that. You see what I'm talking about? They got machines, they're adding dirt to the land there so that it's not flooded, because it's a flooded area, but if they add enough dirt, I guess they'll be up high enough where they can build, or at least sell the land for people to build houses, or, you know, put up their little structures. Watch SpaceX. Everybody hates it, but everybody wants to see it. That's the funny thing. Everybody hates it, but everybody loves it in a way. Anyway, I'm Pete Smith for the First Church of Mars here in Port Isabel, Texas. Thanks for watching.
To seek and you shall find. Gotta leave this